Okay, well, let's start it right now. And the intro's over.
Not good.
No, but no, this is Inane Blather. I'm sure we've got a ton of new listeners, so let's take a moment and tell you who we are that are so inanely blathering on upon these upon these the
hallowed grounds
shoulder,
of Discord. Yeah,
yeah, along the rumble-stripped shoulder of the information superhighway. No,
nice. That was good. I like it.
No, actually, I'll tell you who we are. We are
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
That sums it up quite nicely, I would say.
You're pooping the bed?
okay. Okay, good. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's for all the new listeners. I'm sure there'll be tons. No.
All the nude listeners,
I just randomly,
too.
32 episodes in, I'm like, anyway, so we, to all you new people out here, it's like, what? No, I've seen the analytics. There are no new people.
Is this number 32 or 30? Excuse me, 33.
It's number 32, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, I didn't know.
Ain't it? Ain't
I
it,
don't know.
though?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't listen to this fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I took one listen to that.
Not good.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I was more like, oh, God. But,
That was, and I don't say this lightly, worse than 100 September 11th.
Yeah, that's most reactions to it. So, I was going to say, this is what... This is what could describe us. It's really, we're personal. That's what people say that we know who listen to the show. They're like, it's like we're just hanging out with you,
listening to you blather inanely.
Yeah, because we are that fucking annoying to hang out with. It's like I'm on like I'm in the middle of two people on a podcast talking about fucking politics. It's great.
Yeah, and I never get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, I just listen. I might as well be washing the dishes while you guys are hanging out.
Great. Yeah, do that.
But that is because, Natalie,
Natalie.
In an increasingly intangible world in which the eternal verities of mankind are falsely relegated to an ethereal plane divorced of physicality and pandering to the basest passions of humanity, we hope our small endeavor to restore these printed pages a sense of particular place, a reverence for tradition, and that all too human touch, which to many souls mean home.
A reverence
Not that
for
we
tradition.
shall be a mere museum of nostalgia wherein desiccated forms are grotesquely on display for the lurid fascination of the public eye, but rather the true meaning of museum as dwelling place of the muses may shine forth with ancient splendor as we seek the good, the true, and the beautiful along this common path of daily life.
Wow. Did you just make that up?
We're recording? Oh man, I was just putting a note in my Google my Google Keep. No, I was just reading this the sticky note that I left on my desk. I'm not sure what it means.
I scribbled it when I woke up late last night,
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it was pretty good,
It's funny though, like
pretty high-minded for a little.
Yeah, so there's this
paper.
new periodical in my small town. I already sent some of this to Natalie, but it's just, I'm in a small rural town. There's no newspaper. There used to be, who needs it? It's a fucking newspaper. But,
Don't
people
get Dad
read the newspaper.
started on that.
I know. Yeah, and even he complains because now, since it's a newspaper, it's just full of fucking junk and advertisements anyway.
That's our in to anti-cap him. Like, legit. That's what I'm like, the reason you can't get this is because people have to make money off of it. And is that what you think? That people shouldn't have access to information because they don't have money? Of course you don't. You read the paper your whole fucking life.
And on top of that, the local main newspaper in this area is owned by McClatchy anyway. They're a giant newspaper corporation. Or McClatchy, I think. I don't know. I worked for him making less than minimum wage when everyone lost their jobs in 2008, so that was fun. I ruined my car delivering giant stacks of newspapers to businesses and stuff like that.
For less than the minimum wage. America.
So anyway, this kind of came out here in town. Someone just with, as you notice, some pretty high-minded ideals.
About seeking truth and beauty and preserving tradition.
The way that so this is volume 1, issue 1, free weekly periodical here. I'm not going to name it. I just refuse to mention the name of my town on this. But For God and Country is the little slogan or byline under the title. And the way that they list the date for it includes AD. Wednesday, March 1st, 2023 AD.
In case you were wondering. That's just for time travelers when they come and inevitably get that paper and they're like, what year is it? Because that's the place they'll be coming to.
I was really surprised, though, when I picked this up. Someone had mentioned, so I was in our local Chamber of Commerce meeting the other day because I'm, such a big deal nowadays. But and they had mentioned, I already talked to the guy about maybe when they have open space just to be able to put in local events in their advertising space. And the way that they mention it, I was like, really? Are you serious? What, the Herald? And they're like, no, the local one here. I said, I didn't even know there was one. And they said, it just started. And they handed me this sheet. And I carried it with me and didn't even look at it until, a little while later, sitting down at the monthly luncheon. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, right in the very introduction here's the first paragraph. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but I really like this. I like going over this with you. I told you, for anyone who's read A Confederacy of Dunces, all I see when I'm reading this is Ignatius Riley writing in his Big Chief tablet, and
in his stained bed sheets, looking down on everyone else,
tasting some hot dog on his upper lip that's left in his mustache, but not really that. But I don't know, this. It's so high and mighty that it isn't condescending. It's way too out there for that.
Is it verbose? Is that a word that would be used to describe this style of writing or whatever?
Yeah. Here's the introducing this newspaper here. Life imitates art, and art imitates life. Thus did the anonymous poet conclude his discourse on the power of that which entertains and holds sway upon the inner eye of the mind. The Native Americans of a certain tribe used to refrain from using metal utensils at their meals, for they believed that which you use as a tool, you are bound to become likened. Who can deny that if a man spend his time around rough characters, his own character shall eventually be coarsened simply by long-time association? Verily, the opposite is just as true, that to be shaped in virtue, one ought to seek those who also live virtuous lives. Very well does the old proverb say, Birds of feather flock together.
I knew it.
For those of common cultures tend to seek each other's company and thereby better conform themselves to their commonly held image. What? This is introducing your newspaper?
And so I want to know, genuinely, who do they think is going to read this in where you live? I mean, not to say that you're surrounded by a bunch of ignorant, illiterate rednecks, But
some of it is almost just Christo-fascist nonsense.
well,
like,
for sure,
like
for
it's
God
all,
and country and tradition.
Yeah.
That's pretty
I
problematic.
mean, the ending of this, only by inculcating such virtues.
Inculcating.
Well, even just using the word verily earlier, I was like, who uses verily?
I mean, for this specific, if they're going for a target audience where you are, I just don't think that they're going to hit the mark. I don't know.
No. I mean, hey, it's like what we do, honestly. It's like this. It's got to be just fun for this guy.
Yeah, for sure. That's
You know?
what it seems like. Someone who wants to be a writer.
I mean,
Obviously.
there's a.
What did he say though
there's
about
another
inculcating?
writer.
What does it say?
Oh, so only by inculcating such virtues can we hope to recover the dying flame of our Western civilization, not by bald identity politics divorced of reason, fueled by the swirling subjectivity of feelings bound to passion, but by an examination of our own failings and a plea to the Lord Jesus Christ to aid us in our conversion, repentance, and amendment of life.
Yeah, don't use your feelings.
Just applause.
Where he's like, were you getting into
That was-
culture wars
and
or
I don't say
whatever?
this lightly. Worse than 100 September 11th.
Yeah, but
What does he say about
Yeah.
feelings? Back on that. Go back.
Oh,
to that.
exactly. It's this whole thing is about like the.
I mean, like, to
the
not be
search
swayed by
for
feelings.
solid truth,
Yeah, and then
stuff,
to be
yeah.
like a believer, a
and it's
devout
all about
Christian.
God.
Yeah, where it's like,
exactly.
I mean, by your own logic, I mean, I genuinely, like, as a Christian, you're the Christian, not me, but I kind of thought that it was, like, about faith,
You know, it'd be really
not
funny.
facts.
We should advertise our podcast in this.
Do
It's
it.
25 cents
Do
a
it.
word. Oh, Jesus Christ. 25 cents a word, 10 word minimum. So, yeah, let's see. Add a black box for $2. Contact the publisher
right,
to
well, now
advertise
that-
today.
Now that you put that tweet out there that everyone's looking at, you know, we're going to be raking in the dough. So I think we should go for it.
Yeah, that's
That'll
where
be
all
our
of our
target
new
audience,
listeners
too.
are coming from, is from me making a funny tweet about Andrew Tate.
You what?
I made a funny tweet about Andrew Tate.
You what?
Oh my God. No. But I would say it sure seems like, you know, it doesn't necessarily translate to new listeners.
They've been known to.
But no,
But it would be fun to troll someone
yeah.
in real life.
Wingus, dingus, listen up.
So how, I mean, it's been a little while. What have you been doing? What you been up to? What's going on?
I've been busy. I've been in New Mexico. I've been
Oh, yes.
working. Remember, I got that promotion. I got an extra shift at work. I've been. It was Kelsey's birthday last weekend. Had a big party like all weekend. Some people were there like Thursday to Sunday. So it was like I got back from New Mexico like 2:00 Thursday morning. Went to work Thursday. Went to work Friday. Went to a rally on Saturday for workers' rights. Workers Strike Back. Check it out. Shama Sawant, you know, organizing workers and getting people to unionize and stuff. Yeah, I went to
Yeah,
that.
I think I follow
Then we
that
went up
on
to-
Instagram.
Yeah, cool. Good.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I went up to the party, partied all night, came back home, worked yesterday and today. So that's what I've been doing. I've been
Ugh.
working and
Gross.
yeah, I've been really busy with busy having so many friends. It's so hard for me.
No, that's good. No, and it's funny.
I mean, yeah,
I keep
it's just very full. Hmm.
I keep forgetting that we didn't just do a podcast last Friday night because we were going to.
'Cause I fell asleep.
And then we,
Yeah.
and then we're like, no, we don't have to do that. And then we just sat here and talked over Discord for like an hour and 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I was like, we could have just had a podcast, but it was good that it wasn't a podcast.
It was my vacation week.
Very personal. You kept talking about like your itchy penis or something like that. I don't know. No one needs to know about that. Yeah. Instead,
No one will
yeah,
because we're talking about it on this podcast. No
Yeah.
one's gonna
I don't
ever
even
hear
care
about
that
it.
he's a misogynist.
Oops. But
Oh, I showed
yeah,
someone
instead-
ContraPoints the other day.
Oh yeah,
She did.
I
best.
tried
Yeah,
getting
and-
one of our mutual friends into ContraPoints because he really likes Philosophy Tube. Thanks to you.
Oh,
I
oh
believe.
yeah. Is this my
Yeah.
ex? You mean? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He texted me
Well,
that.
he
He's like, "Oh, have you
listens
ever
to the
heard
show
of
every
Philosophy
once in a
Tube?" And
while.
I was like, yeah, duh. I'm pretty sure I told you
he
about
discovered
her.
it on.
She's amazing.
Oh,
and
okay. Oh,
on his
yeah.
own. I mean, I think, yeah. think that was it. But probably because I've sent it to him before. No. But yeah, I showed
I'll take
ContraPoints. It was the
credit
one
for that.
about men, and she's laying there like in lingerie for part of it, and he was
Yes.
like, "Oh my god, she's so hot," and I was like, "I know, I'm in love
ContraPoints, yeah.
with her. She's
I forget.
amazing, and her name's Natalie."
I remember because I listen to video essays usually, and I remember exactly that.
Yes.
That video because I was on a binge listening to ContraPoint stuff, and I was working outside, and I remember like stopping and be like, wait a minute, because I just hear like the scene change and she made some comment, and then I like pulled it. I was like, oh. And I was like standing there just watching the video essay. I was like, okay, I can listen. And went back to like mowing
Tear
the
my
lawn
eyes
or whatever
away.
I was doing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you know what she would
They've
say
been
to
known
that? No, she would say, "I don't even care that he's a misogynist."
I don't even care that
staring at
he's a
her.
misogynist.
Yeah, no, what she would really
Yeah.
say.
You know, I think it's interesting that a person this pathetic can also be a genius whose name will never die.
You what?
No. But so speaking of listeners though, one thing that I wanted to bring up, and we talked about this on Friday, but
yeah.
we didn't record anything.
Oh, yeah.
So thanks to someone actually making a comment on a YouTube upload.
Thank
But it's really
you.
awesome just knowing that a person was listening. It's
And
gonna
took a
be
time
like,
to
oh,
leave a
that's
thoughtful
so cool.
comment.
And then
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a text message like, oh, you didn't know that's me. It's like someone we know. No.
Yeah, like, well, it was
Like,
a
oh,
very
that's my
thoughtful
screen
comment.
name.
Yeah, it was.
No, but yeah. First off, yeah, I didn't realize they left a comment on a video weeks ago, just about kind of a similar thing, being in rural type upbringing, surrounded by dumbass white people or whatever, and kind of getting glad to be getting into leftist content, likes what we talk about, likes that Natalie has an ounce of empathy for these schmucks. I don't. No, I'm just kidding.
Nazis deserve
no, I
healthcare.
totally do. Yeah, no, but and kind of red pilling their family on it or something like that. I don't have that one in front of me right now, but it was really great. I was like, oh my gosh, thanks. But I figured it'd be a jumping off point. They asked, and this is what was it, Ron King at 5234. Do you plan on ever having some subscriber suggested content? Okay, yeah, let's see here. Like being a leftist and vegan, for instance. Like, could you call someone progressive if they believe in everything you do except for one thing? They think enslavement of certain races is okay. It mirrors the way some feel about veganism and whether or not it intersects enough with progressive ideology, feeling that it's the ultimate form of exploitation due to speciesism, allowed due to cultural norms. But yeah, and they said, I don't often hear leftists talk about a lot of questions that I have. I don't know if you ever plan to make this where people can engage in any way or just keep it only to the topics you feel are worth talking about, which right off the bat, like to
Topics
me,
worth talking about. So you
No.
don't listen to our show.
no, yeah, I was going to say, it's like, well, it really is when I'm just saying, okay, what do I got in my list here? It really is just random ramblings that are in my Google Keep board or whatever. It's like, I anything and everything is totally fine for me. And also, yeah, just thanks to them again, because they said they enjoy it and keep up the good work and stuff. And that's awesome. But when I read it too, the first time, my first thought was that it's like, okay, there's kind of two questions here, right? That are both totally different and worthy of inane discussion. But,
We're good at that.
like, first off, like, quote, could you call someone progressive if they believe in everything you do except for one thing? And then that follow-up, they think enslavement of certain races is okay. But it's like, can you call someone progressive if you agree on everything except for one thing? It's like, well, this is where you know,
This is what we
all the
talk about all the
discussion
time.
really is, you know.
Yeah.
But and also then separately, just the discussion of veganism itself is interesting to me, and especially because I'm not vegan, and you know, but I'm you know, I'm no coal rolling asshole. But I definitely
drive a
have
Ford
never. Oh, yeah, that's true. It's not a diesel. I have 2 Ford pickups, but but hey, they know how it goes. They say, you know, the rural areas and stuff.
Yeah,
That's the way it goes.
exactly.
But
They've been known
but
to.
I mean, I know a feeling of kind of curious guilt on the topics of veganism, things like that, especially if you start talking about like, you know, morality and philosophy of it and stuff like that. Anything beyond individual stuff like it's healthy or whatever, or, you know, it's good if you can afford it kind of thing. But really, I've never even considered or let alone attempted to go vegan. It's never really been a desire for me. Like I said, I have that kind of guilt thing, and then when you really reflect on that, it's like, okay, well, I have these reasons. Am I just trying to justify something that I know is wrong, or do I have conviction in my beliefs, or a third option, like, I guess I really just don't care enough. Yeah. So, well, I mean, and it's like there are just so many. I mean, I've got a kid, I've got, you know, bills to pay and stuff like that, and a podcast to do. No, but
Yeah, come on.
you
This is
know,
important
it's like
work.
besides the fact that I enjoy making non-vegan meals and enjoy eating them. I mean, I'm not a chef by any means, but I make some pretty good food because I have to, because I live by myself. But you know, that's a big part of it, you know, and my manly self. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling already. What do you think? I mean, have you seem
I mean, I have a lot of friends that
closer
are
to that than me.
vegan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've kind of been off and on, like thinking about being more, well, yeah, like vegetarian. You know, red meat, not that great for you, not great for the environment and stuff
Yes,
like
it is.
that.
You're
but,
lying. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. There's all these reasons, but I, you know, like, I think that humans are omnivorous, you know, that we eat both and that we always have, and that there's a way that we can do that and be, like, I don't really know, you know, the evolutionary advantage to going vegan, or, you know, like, we're really going pretty quickly, you know, as far as our evolution, like culturally and socially and morally or whatever.
Because we can consider
but-
these moral questions.
Yeah,
That's
because
why
we can
evolve so
and,
quickly.
I mean, but physically, we haven't changed a lot. You
no.
know, like we're a new species and stuff. And I really, you know, I've actually just told someone recently. It was like, if I have a belief, it's that I don't think that humans are special. I think that we're just animals. Like, we're really, really, really closely related to some of our, you know, primate, like bonobos and stuff. Really, a lot of DNA that matches up. And then, I mean, we have DNA with everything. Every living thing on Earth, we share DNA with,
Goldfish,
like
yeah.
oak trees and, yeah, everything. So I like to feel like I want humans to be like how humans are. But I guess that's so tied up in our consciousness and stuff. And I understand why people would want to be vegan and want to, I'm for the ethical treatment of animals. I don't think animals should have to suffer, you know, but we're out of the food chain, you know, but we still need to eat. And we can do that ethically, I think. I haven't really thought a lot about speciesism. Like enslaving an entire species.
That's what I was gonna.
But I
bring
think
up
that's like a lot more of a, it's like a lot broader of a question, and something I don't like to be those people. You know, I mean, everything deserves attention. You know, all these justice issues, but it just seems like there's so many issues to tackle to even get people to the point where they can consider being vegan, like as like a societal option, as like an option
It is a privileged
for us,
conversation
like on a
to
broad.
have.
It absolutely
if you're doing
is,
it
and I'm not
based on
saying that it's
morality
not
or something like that, or
and it's
change.
not that they're not that they're wrong for that, and I can totally get behind it, but it seems like something that if that's where your cutoff is going to be, like as a vegan and cutting other people, saying that they're not progressive because they engage in the enslavement of an entire other species, I'm not really sure what people would be getting out of that, like what that conversation is even for, and like the lack of empathy for people in those situations is interesting, because it does come from, like we're saying, a position of privilege, that, and you're just like, well, people just need to do better. It's like, well, they can't legitimately do better, and other people like don't even have the options to consider making a lifestyle change like that. It's not possible, and it's really discounting like their experience as whatever. People in poverty in America, people in food deserts and stuff like that. It's just something that it's a conversation that can be had, but for people to be so strict about it and being straight up saying that people are enslaving another species, I'm not really sure how that really lends itself to conversation. It makes people feel like shit. It makes them feel defensive. And that's like a very abstract concept about like, well, okay, so what is, what are these species? Like we're talking about deserving, like what other animals deserve. Obviously not to be like tortured. Nothing ever deserves that besides like, I don't know,
Matt Walsh,
but yeah. For sure. But
I just tweeted today. I said,
like these are.
Oh, just in terms of Matt Walsh, because we bring him up all the time. Just
Yes.
I said, Matt Walsh. He, after the whole children's hospital bomb threat thing, he's fine, right? So how can we learn? Can someone tell me how exactly we toe that line so that we can engage in stochastic terrorism without being punished? And I said, because let's face it, we all know this country would be a better place without him. So that's all I'll say. Anyway, no, continue.
It would be a better place without him.
Yeah.
The world would be a better place.
Yeah, would you be a vegan if you could kill Matt Walsh, but you have to eat him?
Yeah, if that would make everyone vegan in the world, would you do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll eat him. Ugh, I'm not gonna say I'll eat
Raw?
him raw. That sounds gross. Yes, like I'll do what
yeah.
it takes, but no.
Yeah.
Oh my god, can you believe that Matt Walsh is 36 years old?
Gross.
Like what? He's barely
What
older
a
than
loser.
me.
He looks like he's
Anyway,
in his late 40s.
let's not. I knew I shouldn't have brought that up. So, but
Anyways.
what's funny, as each thing that you're talking about, that's why this is. I think it is such a random thing for me in terms of something to talk about. But goddamn, like what a great discussion point in terms of just discussion.
Let's
as long
have
as
him
it's
on
not
the podcast.
like I said, just that topic.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
there's so many different forks in the road in terms of just
One fork with meat on it and one fork with tofu. Nice.
but
I love tofu.
to talk about, because I'm thinking, okay, there's that whole difference with the enslavement of species, which it's like, okay, well then we're not talking about the morality question I was talking about before, because it's like, well, so you're against farming, it's like, what about catching fish in a river and eating it? It's like, okay,
yeah.
so you're talking about the enslavement part, or are you talking about the pain part? And it's like, well, what is that? What is pain? And yada yada. And all of these things also being made with this assumption that it's funny, I differ from you kind of in like that humans aren't special, they're just animals. That's like a pro-vegan starting point right there. It's like, nothing makes us, we don't have the moral high ground for this, But also, if we're just animals, it's like, well, animals eat other animals. It's not a moral
That's what I
question.
mean.
So that's also, a different talking point. And for me, it's like, no, but humans are special. That's why we're talking about it. That's why we have questions of morality.
That's why we
and
think
stuff
we're
like
special
that.
anyways.
Philosophy, well, not special, but sets us apart.
Sure. Well,
is
of
that
course.
That we
Consciousness?
have this other form of evolution that's not just physical. We have societies, that completely change the world around us, unlike anything else. But
For
anyway,
sure. And with that comes a lot of responsibility, and I totally believe
No,
that. And
it
that's what I mean about
doesn't. No.
humans could really, we could work with our environment in a really good way. Like we
They've
could
been
make
known
it
to.
work for yeah. They have been known to because we used to eat animals, like cultures, I'm sure that there are vegetarian cultures and stuff, but
oh yeah,
we were talking about indigenous people here in North America, and what little I know about some of the cultures here in the Pacific Northwest in specific, the attitude towards eating animals was it's just a lot different. If
Yeah.
you have more of a respect and an understanding of what you're taking away and what you're getting, from this interaction with this animal, I think that's a lot healthier perspective, and it keeps you grounded in being a human, because I feel veganism, it's maybe that's the next evolutionary step for us, is to be really above it all. We're not, I don't know, it seems like a step apart from the rest of making the conscious decision to change our entire diet, of what we eat as a species, making that decision, not being forced to, though I guess maybe we kind of are because of our moral evolution, but again, to me it just seems there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and I care about animals, of course. I used to work at a vet clinic, but there's
Yeah.
people getting literally go out the door and you get shot by the cops or whatever, all kinds of fucking problems that are happening where I'm not saying animals are less important, I guess, because people aren't special, but that's kind of how our societies are set up, so people can, we want people to be able to be alive to make these kind of decisions so they can contribute to our cultural evolution and stuff. And that seems like kind of the basic starting step is to work within our own species to get better. But, I guess I don't have any opinions on it.
Even going back, I'm like, that's another divergence off the path, another discussion that I was thinking of earlier. So when you're saying, you can't help but come across as being too divisive from a place of privilege in terms of telling people that that they're morally wrong for not being vegan or something, which does happen. People see it that
happen.
way,
No, it does happen. I live in Seattle.
But that, it's but that's because if you hold the belief, that
For sure.
we're not above these other species or something, and you hold that belief, that is, completely valid, right? That's a valid way of seeing it. And it reminds me of of course, someone who believes, for whatever reason might be, someone who believes that a fetus is a human being, a person
I just
with
said this
personhood
today.
would believe that it's of course abortion is murder. It'd be the most heinous thing, and you would, that's that moral difference. And then my mind got sidetracked as you were talking. Thing is what's the overlap here with people that hold animals in that regard compared to humans, but also see a fetus and say, well, that's not a human, or that's not a person, dummy, and they are pro-choice. So I wonder what the difference is there. What's the difference between a cow that's made for feeding other animals and a fetus in terms of like personhood and the right to autonomy and not to be eaten. I mean, you don't eat fetuses, but not to be killed. You know, it's like
I would hope that vegans are probably a little bit more
pro-life.
I mean, yeah,
because I don't want them to be
like,
hypocrites. So
pro bodily
checkmate,
autonomy,
libs.
you know,
No, yeah.
and being able to do what you want with your body, like women or mothers or whatever. People with
So
uteruses, being able
then you
to
can
decide,
only eat a cow if you were personally the one who like barehanded killed it.
Yeah,
It's like
I
it
think
had
that they
the
would
chance
say a
to
lot more
fight
local
back,
sourcing would be
you know?
good. Yeah, it was a fair fight. I mean, I had a gun, but
No gun.
I gave the cow a gun.
Oh yeah,
he didn't use it. That's
we
not on
both
me.
had guns.
This
I
is
told it,
America. That's
you
how
get
we go
10
out hunting for our
paces.
dinner.
Yeah, if you did that, then by the time you're eating your burger, you're like,
This is absolutely lit.
no. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, and and I bring up cows too because it's like, I mean, it can seem so shallow or whatever, but like, I love cows. Oh my God, I love them. You know, they're
they're
one
so
of my
freaking
favorite
cute.
animals. You know, I've had them. Even here, we had a cow that we raised and stuff, and we did growing up a couple times. But I mean, I literally just had a steak before the podcast, and it's like, I mean, there is something where it's like I mean, either you hold these beliefs that like that's what they're for, and it's okay to do, and there is a food chain and yada yada, or you kind of just divorce the two ideas in your head and try not to think about it that way. You try not to think about
Yeah.
a really cute cow with long eyelashes and stuff while you're eating a burger, you know, which is the shakiest way of having an opinion on it, you know. I remember Stav on Cumtown talking about that. He's like, ugh, anything that it really is reminding me that it's an animal, you know, he doesn't like it. He's like, but I'll eat chicken breast or something. Or, you know, I can't see a chicken. He's like, but that's why he doesn't like chicken feet. That's what the conversation was.
Oh,
He's like, you just know it's a fucking animal. He's like, that's horrible. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Even when I cut my flowers, like to put them in a vase or whatever, it's like, yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Consciousness, yeah, what a bummer. But I would say, you know what? The leftists, I'm like, the more the merrier. It's a huge, supposed to be a broad tent. I welcome all vegans, even if they think that I am enslaving animals. You know, we can agree to disagree, and I can 1000% appreciate people who really care about something.
Yes.
I'm a human rights activist. They're animal rights activists. People have, you know, the things that they're dedicated to, and it doesn't have to be everything. Just because you're dedicated to one aspect doesn't mean you don't care about other things. It's like that you have your focus, and people are just doing what they can. We're all in this together. Leftists care about animals, even if you're not a vegan, for sure. And it's a slow, steady, you know, you just got to work at it. It's like, I mean, like any activism, you just have to be patient. It's not going to come overnight. Yeah, I know that because I'm a human rights activist. Like I said, you know, like no big deal. Or anything,
oh yeah, no
but
big deal.
I am.
Well, and you know,
Yeah.
and that's where I'll cut you off and be like, we're done. Sit down. I don't have that sound, but no. But I was gonna say that kind of goes back to the initial thing of whether, you know, you can consider someone else progressive when, you know, when they differ with you on so radically just on one thing. It's like, you know, of course I can say, no, we have to stick together. We can all see these things differently, but at the same time, I can understand, depending on your reasonings for being vegan, for example, those moral questions, I can understand why to you it would feel like a man, I'm so unfocused right now. Not a breaking point, whatever.
Yeah, like,
the thing
it's
that splits it for you. But unfortunately, like, that's on you. I mean, and it's totally valid for you to see it that way, but
for you to not understand where other people are coming from is where a lot of this, like, infighting on the left does come from. Like, hey, I hate Nazis. Unpopular opinion, I'll say it. But Nazis deserve health care.
Okay, Natalie.
And I know. And they deserve, an understanding of what got them to that point. You don't obviously have to agree with people to understand where they're coming from. And that understanding is what allows you to educate people and what allows them to change their mind. If they're feeling heard, and even if their points are invalid from your opinion, from your perspective, which, I could see obviously with Nazis why people would think that, and I can see why vegans would think that, but it doesn't help to just be exclusionary.
Yes.
It doesn't help to be hateful. It doesn't, we go
for
around here talking about
reasons to
Matt Walsh and all these
exclude.
stupid Nazis and stuff, but it really does come back to that little ounce of empathy we have to have for people, because especially if you're differing on just one thing, it seems like you have a lot in common.
Yeah.
And this one thing is probably something where you can come to some sort of agreement on it, because you have all these other things that you have in common. So it just it seems like opportunities for conversation with
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, depending on
people
where
are-
you're
I
coming
mean,
from,
you can just-
it can be that sort of issue where it's like, yeah, we agree on everything, all these leftist ideals, except they think that trans people aren't valid or something. It's like, it's like, but that goes against, like
But then what is
how
gonna
I
happen?
formed my values. You know what I mean?
But what is going to happen then? It's like, so you're going to say, well, I mean, I would say, yeah, that's like turf or whatever. But then where do they go?
Yeah.
And what,
Be like, okay,
where
well then,
the line, I'm not
I guess
saying
you're
you
not my
have to
friend,
accept
but-
that kind of behavior.
You're in the
Yeah, you
proletariat
but
with me
it's-
regardless.
For sure. I mean, because being surrounded by people, that's how people do change their mind, by being able to be a part of these communities where they can learn from them, because people will be influenced by the people they're around. So let's hope they're around some leftists for a while, rather than getting down into some turf bullshit and totally becoming a right-wing QAnon lunatic.
Going down the other
Yeah,
path.
because-
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't
I
want
think
that
and I can
on
say
you.
that it's like, it's so easy for me. I'm not trans, I'm not a person of color, blah blah blah. Some of these really hateful things that people can say, and I'm not saying that those people, like people of color or trans people, have to interact with these pieces of shit. That's where some of these allies can maybe kind of step in and maybe have some sort of positive influence, hopefully, to try to get these people on the right path, which is the left path. But it just, because I can see why people would be like, no, fuck these people. They're turfs. They're white supremacists. No, absolutely not. But in the long term, what does that do? And we know what that does. It drives people away. So it's just about being able to have conversations where people, what does it come down to? It comes down to good faith
Blather.
conversations always. Yeah, good faith blather.
Yeah, good faith blather. Man, I'm looking through my thing here. I have a lot of notes here. It's crazy. Let's see. So
What a world.
So before I need to get that as a soundboard drop. What a world. It's crazy. Okay, so let me just skim through some stuff here because I'm going to clear them out. Supposedly Andrew Tate might have cancer. That's awesome. I guess supposedly, actually he probably doesn't. That sucks. But I hope he gets cancer. Let's see. I wrote yesterday, quote, like at work or something. We're like a family here. Okay, bro. Sounds a little bit communist to me. It's like that's your smallest commune.
Nice.
What else? It was funny talking to, our sister after she was listening to an episode and we're complaining. No, I'm complaining about J.K. Rowling and her way. Instead of like, I hope she, drives off a cliff or something. She said, I hope J.K. Rowling grows a huge dick. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was really funny. Yeah. She did start watching Hassan though. She watched him today and was like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "That's what I've been saying."
Yeah, exactly. Incessantly.
Yeah, I can't stop.
Let's see. I also wrote, there's nowhere to go with this, but I wrote The Llamas and the Papas.
Nice.
So there's that. Let's see. They say the wealth gap is larger now than in pre-revolutionary France when they started chopping off heads. So what's the difference now? Maybe that's an actual discussion. I saw someone on Twitter call Dr. Pepper barbecue Sprite, which is cool. Man, there's lots of things. Oh, and one of these that I've had sitting in here for weeks and weeks and weeks. It was funny. I saw a Twitter thread about, it's like, did George Orwell actually really suck? And a lot of leftists or socialists or whatever, don't like George Orwell, even though he's raised up by so many on the left as being a socialist, and he's an anti-authoritarian or whatever, and then Animal Farm is all about the Russian Revolution, but this has been sitting in here for a while, and then someone, maybe it's the originator of this, no, I don't think that's the tweet thread that I was reading, but someone put out a video essay on it, and I listened to Vosh react to the whole thing, and it's like, okay, this has all been covered and stuff. And what sucks is that the anti-Orwell guy was just this is through the filter of Vosh, so whatever. But lots of people hating on Orwell do so because they are Stalinists. They are tankies. A lot of people very much like Stalin if you're in the online left. And I don't see that as being very leftist. That's my thing. Whatever. You're part of the proletariat, but fuck Stalin. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
he doesn't seem like
George
a leader
Orwell,
that you would
yeah,
want.
it's kind of funny in your video essay about George Orwell that you never mentioned his time in the Spanish Civil War when he fought with the anarcho-syndicalists and was a democratic socialist, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, let's see. In a communist utopia, all of our dicks would be bigger without capitalism.
Yeah,
I'm just going to mention that.
Always want to mention
all
that.
the time.
Like, yeah.
One thing, and I have these other ones that we'll go into later. Like I had a time with my good buddy who is not a left-winger, and I'm always trying to get him over. It's so, once you've had these discussions, it's so easy to take right-wingers' complaints and their fears and all that and roundabout and say, hey, see what I told you? It's because of capitalism, or it's because of this. And it's difficult. It is difficult, but I wrote down a few things that we had been talking about, which are really interesting.
At work, I'm always like, and what is this because, guys? And everyone's like, ugh. I'm like, capitalism.
Yeah.
Wait, before you say that, before you say what you're about to say, I want to fucking say boycott Walgreens. Those coward-ass
Is that
bitches.
the burger
Not to be
place
all
and Mark Wahlberg?
timely.
No. Oh, that's Wahlburgers.
Yes, that too. No. Yes, Walgreens with their bullshit, like 20 senators sign a letter, and they're like, okay, we won't provide the abortion pill to people, even though it's legal here. Sorry, we won't. Whatever. Fuck them. Like, so incredibly overturning of Roe versus Wade. We're just backsliding into like. Pretty much women are going to have to flee to Mexico to get abortions, or Canada, or whatever they're going to have to do. Little girls having to, I don't know, have babies or whatever. It's fucking disgusting. And Walgreens should be so, oh my God, ashamed. if that's possible. It's like you guys are a fucking
And this was what? This is
pharmacy.
Plan B, right?
This is a pill it's not Plan B. It's I don't. It's
just a.
I don't think it's whatever
abortion
It's the
pill,
abortion
though, right?
pill.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
for most people have abortions via the pill. It's the most. It's like for early abortions, which is like the vast majority of them. And this is
a
even
chewable.
in states
It's in the
where
shape of
it's
Fred Flintstone.
legal.
Yeah.
yeah. So just for anybody, really, let the kids have it. Yeah.
This
No,
is absolutely lit.
Okay.
Yeah, I just really wanted to. I woke up this morning, my cat scratched my face, and that was my news notification, was that
your
Walgreens
pet's heads are falling
was not
off.
going to be. Yeah, I was like seriously. I mean, I talk all day about reproductive rights and blah 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 blah, but wow, what a disgusting disappointment that was from such minimal pressure for a huge company to do something like that in 20 states. That's millions of women and girls that are affected by this right now. There could be someone being like, oh my God, I need to get, I'm pregnant. Fuck, what do I do? I could get that from the pharmacy. Nope, sorry, you can't. Oh yeah, also there's no abortion providers. It's 300 miles away. Better fucking figure it out.
Jesus. Yeah, it's just... It's just an abortion
forgot
ban
about how
by
incredibly
proxy.
mad I was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, it's just another thing. That's the problem. It's like, I mean, God, us leftists can squabble with liberals all we want and this and that, and I don't vote, and Joe Biden and blah, blah, blah. It's like, or Biden and Trump are just as bad. There's the same thing. It's like, that day-to-day stuff matters, though. You only live so long. I mean, the fact that Trump was elected is why Roe versus Wade was overturned. It's just a fact, and it's like, I don't know, all this stuff matters, these basic things. I actually, there was something, and I'm not calling out non-voting people, but so one of my mutual friends on Twitter, I think we're mutuals, I hope. We only have so many Twitter followers. Let's get those numbers up, people. No. And they were asking about exactly this and kind of voting, and then who's actually worse. It's crazy how many people say that. I mean, you can hate Joe Biden all you want, but for people to say that he's worse than Trump, because of these abstract reasons where it's like, well, then it gets people complacent, or we think that we're making progress even though we're not. It's like, no, there's no comparison here when, if you're at all worried about reproductive rights or transgender rights and the education system and stuff like that, and I can see when people have this hopelessness about it where it's like, well, it doesn't make any difference anyway. It's like, sure, I mean, presidential stuff, it might not. I mean, in terms of your vote, the president can make a difference, not as much as we want. Sure. But voting, it's like, I mean, my number one go-to thing, it's like, I remember casting my vote and us winning legalized cannabis in Washington over 10 years ago. Or it was 10 years ago right now. Yeah, because it was after the 2012 election. And everyone thinks of Colorado, but we did it at the same time. But it's we voted to make weed legal. And it's been a boon to the economy. It's been great. It's much better just overall. Of course it's better. It's fucking cannabis. What? Come on.
Duh.
We're leftists.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for a long-ass fucking time. But it's just one example where it's like, things can happen. And there's all these little things that, I mean, something like that.
Yeah, the Civil Rights Act, ever fucking heard of it?
Even if, outside of, your own individual your stance on these issues, or you're an advocate for rights or reproductive rights. It's like, well, yeah, but you know what? there are people that it affects directly. These women that can't get an abortion, or that can't get their healthcare needs, or things like that. Like directly will change their entire fucking life, and there's no going back.
What I think about the overturning of Roe versus Wade is all of those people who had appointments for abortions getting canceled. Is you have this problem
nightmare.
and you're like, all right, I got a solution, it's on the books, like I'm getting this taken care of. I, got a plan, and then boom, you don't. You have no choice over it, and you know what? That doesn't even represent what the majority of Americans want. It is,
which does contribute to that hopeless
not only
feeling
people,
too, in terms of whether voting makes a difference.
Not even people just like, what people like to say, women just making mistakes, keep your legs closed, whatever. Shut the fuck up about that, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Women
We're past
miscarrying and not being able to get health care. Like, these are women who could die because they're not getting access to healthcare. Doctors, they just have to fucking suffer through this. Like, this is like 2,000 years ago. Are you joking me? This is little girls having to go through this. This is directly affecting millions of people in America right now. It's so disappointing,
yes,
to say the very least.
Raging. Well, I'm glad that
it really
that you could
really
get that in before I read this. No, no, I was just gonna say, because after our discussion, I was gonna say, let's try to bring things back up, something maybe a little easier, or funny or something. And I forgot I had linked, of course. So I always have something from the New York Post in here.
Oh yeah,
that's our Chapo thing, is just reading garbage from the New York Post.
NYP.
And as soon as I just start scrolling and I see a headline that I know is going to be humorously enraging, like the couple that we've read so far. And of course, I see the headline, "A university finally stands up to woke virtue signaling." I was like, this is good. God. And it's by Douglas Murray. Like, cool. Writing something. And the thing is, Doug Murray, as soon as I just bookmarked it before I even read it, and then I started reading through it, I'm like, what a piece of shit writer. Like, what the fuck are you trying to do here? Like, this isn't even
He's writing for the New York Post.
Yeah, but people can at least have, I don't know. I feel like Piers Morgan wrote better than this. It's like he's trying to write it in a certain way that it's like, this is a newspaper, man. But
he's a newspaper man.
Some of this stuff, it's just, I mean, there's a reason that the meme exists, but it's funny being on the internet so much that I'm like, this is just like the real life version of that meme. Where it's like, conservatives just being terrified of things that don't exist. Like the way that they just really build this stuff up, and the entire jumping off point for their rhetoric, the way that they view the world, their entire like view of politics in America, like the entire starting point is just like trash. It's just like non-existent. It's so strange. It's like we're over here like talking about how, like I wouldn't say nuances. I caught myself saying that. We do not discuss nuance, but of like veganism and the morality. We're talking about stuff like this.
Trying.
Yeah, and it's like, and they're talking about woke teachers at universities. Like, who fucking cares? Even if it was real, like, so don't go to school there, idiot. But still, but yeah, like just the fact that that's even a headline is great enough for me. But he's so serious. Here's the first sentence.
Is he British?
Might as well be. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But first sentence, where have all the adults gone? That is one of the questions I keep wondering about when okay. That is one of the questions I keep wondering about wherever I look in America or the wider West these days.
Ew,
what a piece
what
of shit
fuck?
writer. Like, I don't get this.
That's like an 8th grader.
And then, yeah, and then we have politicians who behave like school children, teachers who live in fear of their students, and bosses and CEOs who are terrorized by their most junior employees. When did
CEOs are terrorized?
Yeah.
Give me a...
that entire thing? We have politicians who behave like school children. Okay, well, we can... Whatever. I guess we'll just differ on who we think is behaving like school children. Marjorie Taylor Greene and shit like that. But
Trump.
teachers who live in fear of their students, bosses and CEOs are terrorized by junior employees. Where? Who are you talking about? Like, you're just...
Yeah.
Like, this is
massive
the second...
layoffs at these huge companies and stuff, and all these terrorized CEOs.
Yeah, because of
those poor
woke
things as they
culture.
lay off thousands
They're
of
scared
employees.
of being canceled, like, is the whole thing. It's like, and of course, because he's such a serious writer, so we've got where have all the adults gone? It's a question I wonder. Terrorized CEOs. When did all the adults leave the room? Like, I just love the structure of this. He sounds, it's like a fucking freshman in high school being so serious. But
man.
I started to get an answer to that question last week when I was at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Because as I told an audience... See, and then he starts the sentence with because? Who the fuck is this guy? Because, as I told an audience there, 2 things happened the day I was there that suggested that someone...
What?
Yes!
This had like an editing process. What the fuck?
And not only, like, it's funny because it's like this jumbled mess of an article just surrounded by ads. This website is so bad. I mean, I remembered as soon as I opened it up, I was like, oh shit, I got to go back and open this up in my ad block browser on my phone because this is horrible.
It's like not usable.
Yeah, it's like, all right, just clear that Pornhub tab and open up the New York Post because of all the ads. Because there's more ads on this New York Post article than there is on Pornhub. But
well, there's just more ads worth looking at on Pornhub, probably.
no, there are certainly fewer ads on Pornhub. But let's see. Because, as I told an audience there, 2 things happened the day I was there that suggested that some adults, at least, want to take back the room. First, and then look at this baby brain. The first thing that happened was that the university's board of governors voted to ban compelled speech. That is, they voted against the pathetic DEI (parentheses or die) statements that so many institutions in this country now demand at the door. You know the sort of thing. It's like, and of course, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Ooh, man, sounds horrible.
Yeah, what a horrible combination.
The form-filling demands students and professionals... The form-filling demands students and professionals say what they have done to promote diversity, inclusion, and equity. Of course, he says it that way, so it spells die. But anyway. Oh. And then... It is a political test. New paragraph. Nothing else. New paragraph. For instance...
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You know what? I always wanted to be a writer, and this is making me feel inspired.
Yeah. So, yeah. And, of course, here's his little Ben Shapiro wit coming out. For instance, if you asked me what I have done to promote diversity, inclusion, and equity, I would answer very little, because I don't accept the premise. Diversity is a fact, not something you promote. New paragraph. The same goes for inclusion. New paragraph. And and then starts another sentence with and as for equity, I don't believe in it. Equality is a great aspiration, and we already have the law for that. But equity, the idea that everybody should have not just equal opportunities, but equal outcomes, not the definition of equity, but anyway. Sorry, but that's a hard no from me. I don't like equal outcomes in sports, and I don't care for them in education or economics either. In any case, it's never going to happen. So as an aspiration,
I don't
it
care
is,
for them in
among
sports,
much
so we
else,
can't have
a complete waste of time. What were you saying?
I was like, so because you don't like it in sports, that's your example? We're talking about society, like equality in society and like those systemic racism, and you're talking about fucking football or tennis or whatever the fuck you
And
watch?
it's a bad
Oh my
analogy
God.
anyway. It's like, that's why.
And you know what?
That's
He's
why there's
British. He
such
probably fucking watches soccer.
strict rules against any way that you can cheat. Sports is like it's all
And
about
they are-
how much you can equal it out.
And
Okay, go on.
the biggest spectator sport in the fucking world ends in ties sometimes.
True.
You know, like he's like,
It's fucking football, soccer.
that's what I mean. He probably fucking watches soccer. Like he's British. And
Yeah, true.
God.
I don't like it in my sports. It's like, bitch, you watch soccer, idiot.
I know. It's like,
It's like, oh, well, I also watch boxing. Same thing. It's
yeah.
well, they went, it was a draw after 12 rounds. I don't watch boxing. But
I want to know if he also has children and if one of them had like a learning disability or just like needed some extra help or whatever. He'd be like, no, fuck you. You don't deserve anything extra. You get the exact same as everyone else. No, we don't treat like that. Children are always like equity is the understanding that some people need more than others to be at the same level. So, I mean, but not according to him, you know.
let's see.
So, I mean, I guess because it comes from the premise of like systemic racism not existing, systemic sexism and stuff.
Because the
so
law
he's just
says
a
we're all
fucking
equal.
moron. So,
And yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Let's see. Douglas Keir Murray. What kind of middle name is that, you little bitch? No, I'm just kidding. Kear? Fucking British people. No, let's see. I just wanted to get some background here, too, because I only heard... Oh, man, I remember Thought Slime had such a great reaction to a different article he had. Maybe it was like at least a year ago, but it just kept getting to me because he just kept saying my name, and he's like, "No, Doug, you're wrong, Doug." And I was like, "Ugh."
and you're like,
But let's see. Yeah, let's see. He was the associate editor of the conservative-leaning British political and cultural magazine The Spectator. Also written for columns like the Wall Street Journal. I mean,
how
guy...
can he write for the Wall Street Journal? Look at his writing.
Ugh.
It's really bad. That's a really really poorly written article.
I mean, he has notable works here, but like neoconservatism, why we need it in 2006. What a fucking loser.
Yikes.
Let's see. 2017, The Strange Death of Europe. Immigration, Identity, Islam.
Ooh, boy. I think he wrote a book called, in 2022,
Yep.
The War on the West.
That was going to be the next
So
thing I
that
said.
right there.
How to Prevail in the Age of Unreason.
Ooh, yikes. It's giving me some Nazi vibes
And
there.
what the fuck, man? You get to take this as
War
a
on the
title,
West.
The Madness of Crowds. Fuck you. Someone else already wrote a great piece about that in the 19th century, right? Isn't that
Called Crowd Madness.
Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds? I've read some of it, but I'm not a smart person, so... But yeah, The Madness of Crowds, Gender, Race, and Identity. The book attracted polarized reviews. Wow, that's nice. Reception, let's see. Daily Telegraph praised the book. Duh. Evening Standard. The Financial Times said that Murray's book performs a great service in exposing the excesses of the left modernist faith. Conversely, The Guardian, of course, it's just all so predictable, but was highly critical, describing it as, quote, the bizarre fantasies of a right-wing provocateur blind to oppression. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's see. Writing in the Times Literary Supplement, Terry Eagleton was also critical, likening the book's polemic to, quote, a history of conservatism which views it almost entirely through the lens of upper-class louts smashing up Oxford restaurants.
Upper class louts.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, this guy's, just a step further ahead of being like a British Bill Maher in some of this crap, but
Ew.
no, it's just what I'm thinking. It's like, but of course he started as conservative instead, but Michael Laver, but this guy Michael characterizes the book as a litany of complaints from an older generation of liberal thinkers against a new generation that is replacing them in a process Michael Laver regards as natural. Rising intolerance is not a characteristic of a left or right outlook, but out of the internet as a venue. He criticizes Murray for failing. Okay, anyway, I'm not reading about this book. But, yeah, it's just... this fucking guy. So, oh crap.
This fucking guy.
Let's see. Oh man, now this, even in my, because, this is in my ad block browser, and it is still difficult to...
Chock full.
God. Because I'm at a different article now, no wonder. I was like, why are we talking about JP Morgan Chase? I have
Get
to
your shit
literally
together.
reopen this. God damn, New York Post. Okay, let's see. So he was at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He's just complaining about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I don't believe in that on one of my sports.
Equity. But the second thing that happened on that day...
No fucking way.
The second thing that happened on
Is
that
what
day
it
at
says?
Chapel Hill was that the university became the latest campus to launch an Alumni Free Speech Alliance group. An increasing number of colleges are doing this. Because across the country, alumni of our major educational institutions are becoming increasingly alarmed at what is going on in this country's institutions. Who the fuck proofread this? This is trash.
Douglas Murray? Yeah.
Oh, his name is way
But
too
the
close to mine.
second thing that
And
happened
they'd
that
like
day
to
was
do
that-
something about it. Yeah, in conclusion, Iran is a land of contrasts. Like Bart Simpson wrote this. Or they also eat corn, or as they
Less
call it,
nuance.
maize. With the right leadership, such organizations can put pressure on university administrators and others when they get out of line and start institutional DIE and other woke idiocies. That's not what a free speech alliance should be for, you twat. Like, what? Like, just ruining... the modern online right, I mean, and just in general, but gosh, the idea of free speech and what it's for has just been so bastardized and ruined. Like, man, they're so good at taking things
And ruining them.
from us and ruining them, all because it appeals to some sort of populist tendency that should be our turf as anyone that's not on the right, anyone that cares at all about working class people. Anyway, let's see, and is against authoritarian rule. But with the right leadership, such organizations, okay, because the great problem with this, as with so much else, is that all this is such a distraction. I can barely read this.
What
so
the
bad. This week, we saw a similar distraction with Randy Weingarten's weird meltdown on the steps of the Supreme Court. The most powerful... I don't know who that is. I'm not read up enough.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Let's see. Randy Weingarten. It's going to be like...
I feel like when he was typing this...
Okay, the president
like,
of the American Federation of Teachers. So what... that must be a union, right?
Yeah.
The most powerful woman in American education stood there, foaming at the mouth, cursing and jumping up and down with performative rage. New paragraph. Why?
Oh, God.
New paragraph.
No!
And start another sentence with the word because. Because of the case in the Supreme Court about student debt. Wow, that's not a sentence.
Also, you know what I get really fucking sick of is when they call it performative rage. Like that we're not genuinely mad about things. Like a really great example of how absolutely disgusting and like lacking in empathy people on the right are is like after Sandy Hook, when Obama was like crying on TV about little children getting murdered, like 5-year-olds, like little babies getting slaughtered. And Fox News was like, "Oh, those are so fake. He must have an onion in his pocket."
Yeah,
oh my god! Like what? Like pretty much calling him a drama queen. Yeah. And then it's like, so you think that this teacher, someone who's like really invested their entire life in education, that they wouldn't be like genuinely upset about this student loan debt crisis that we have? It's all performative rage. I hate
it's
that
all
shit.
projection.
Like they think that
it's all projection. Always.
Yes, because they don't have any values. Yes. They think that we don't.
They're like, there's no way that someone could care that much about this issue. It's like, you just don't get it, man. Not only is it projection because you don't care about anything except your own fucking self, but also just like that comes from the lack of empathy that got you here on the right wing in the first place. Like you cannot possibly fathom someone else's feelings on a subject. Like it's so like that. Yeah, that Obama thing. That's nuts. It's like, you people have children? Like what the fuck? Like,
you ever seen a child?
God.
Like, I mean, what would you don't care about them
family
getting like
values,
a bunch of them.
And you're calling out a father
pro-life,
being upset, a father who also bears responsibility for these issues as the president of the United States, for being upset when a bunch of school children are mowed down and killed in cold blood in the middle of the school day.
First graders and kindergartners.
Yeah.
That was like especially
really
horrific.
gross.
It was so oh my God, I'm like goosebumps right now. It's so disgusting.
It makes me sick to my stomach to read the
really
Wikipedia article on Sandy Hook. Like, it's like, and this is 10 years later. God.
Mental illness is when you're right wing.
Yes.
Ben Shapiro said it best. Because legitimately, like, they just don't, they think everything's performative because everything they do is performative. Everything they do is just in reaction to the left. So they think that we're just doing things as reactionaries instead of actually fighting for causes, because they have no causes. Because obviously, like we're saying, oh, you're so pro-life, you so care about kids. What about those ones that literally just had bullets rip through their little tiny little bodies when they were at fucking school? You monster. Like, and
yeah,
back to Doug.
Well, that's not
Doug
what
Murray.
this is
Good old
about.
Doug Murray.
Yeah, stop calling him Doug. I'm not going to call him Doug. I'm going to call him Doug less.
Douglas.
Less. Because he is less Doug than I am. I am Doug full. I'm just kind of scrolling through. I thought this is funny, and it's just silly. It's not even that it's funny. It's nice to be able to easily just kind of scoff at and dunk on right-wingers, which is why I like these. But
and
some of
rip on his grammar.
It just keeps going out like blah, 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 blah. Oh, is this the same article? About fentanyl is in this too? Okay, we're talking about the universities, let's see. And then he starts complaining about because while they're making up nonsensical political purity tests and putting on political displays, educational standards in this country are going only one way. Well, then get out. Go back to your own country. No, but
what does that
speak to any
mean?
academic in America and ask them if they can say the following sentence with a straight face. Quote, "Every year the students come up to university knowing more and more." I have never met a professor who could say that. It only ever goes the other way, with university professors having to teach students basics that they should have already learned at school. I wonder what he's really getting at here. And if that was the case up till now, imagine how much worse it's going to get once the kids who missed their education during COVID start to make their way through the system. Okay, yeah. I mean, if this was in good faith, it's like, yeah, it's a big issue. I mean, we tried to do what we could, but the kids are behind. Kids are behind.
Well,
right,
I mean, behind is also
it's like-
relative and stuff.
yeah,
and,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
nuanced
It's like, I'm
conversation
saying,
about what education is really for.
if this
and
was
stuff,
someone else saying in good faith,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, this is an issue that we should tackle with our education
Also, I don't know what he's
system.
talking about. Kids knowing less and less coming into college.
Yeah, I
I
kinda
don't know. He's like,
doubt
every
that.
professor I've ever talked to is like, what does that mean? What is that? Some sort of study you did?
Yeah.
No.
It's like, I really doubt it anyway. But I was recently speaking to one expert about this and asked what we should expect. His answer was alarming. Remember the so-called July effect? You know what? I just realized. What is this article about again? A university finally stands up to woke virtue signaling. There was one part in here saying that,
About that
some universities are have alumni free. So this season, I didn't even realize
These
that.
are alumni.
These aren't even students.
It's probably boomers.
But alumni
Yeah.
free speech alliance groups. And it's like, because across the country, the alumni are becoming alarmed at what's going on in the institutions, and they'd like to do something about it. That's the only thing. Now we're talking about, let's see, Weingarten, ranted that, let's see, big businesses were hurting and we helped them. But, do you know what else happened during the pandemic? Weingarten and her comrades made sure that American school children needlessly lost years of education.
And do you know what else fucking
Her
happened during the
meltdown
pandemic?
on the Supreme Court.
Oh my God.
And he says they didn't need to. But when it came down to it, Weingarten cared more about her union than she did about American kids. Her meltdown on the Supreme Court steps is a distraction from that fact. A distraction that Weingarten and co. are only too happy to play. Fuck you, man. But, and then...
What also happened during the pandemic, I don't know if he knows, but like millions of people died.
Yeah,
I wonder if
exactly.
he thought about that. It's like we were kind of trying to just get by and not like have, millions more die, including teachers and children. So that's kind of what happened
when
during
he's
COVID.
talking about the
So,
July effect.
it was a
from
pandemic.
COVID. But it is why we cannot afford the distractions of diversity, equity, inclusion, or Weingarten's headline grabbing. The future of American education is in serious trouble, and it's our youth who are losing out. It's time the adults re-entered the room to help them out. And then for some reason, there's just 5 paragraphs about fentanyl. Yeah.
I feel like it scrolls down into other articles.
No, but it's weird. And it's saying I felt slightly
it's like
sick.
they just copy and pasted it and they forgot to delete the rest of that.
Maybe. I don't know.
From
Because
something else.
where you get to the end where it's like, what do you think? Post a comment and stuff like that.
Are there any comments?
Yeah.
I love to read the comments on the bottom
there's
of
300
articles because they're always deranged.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, everyone's just like, well, you should have more vocational training. It's like, okay, whatever. That's a go-to, but it's like, I never disagree with that. But I disagree with the people who are like, that's all it should be is STEM and vocational. Everyone should have a fucking HVAC repair business. It's like, fuck off. It's like, you're just mad that, your brother got a PhD and you sell cars or something. It's like, don't take it out on us.
I don't know. People are so down on education.
Yeah, like this. We are nurturing and empowering a nation of youngsters who feel they should never, ever feel a moment of doubt or pain or anguish or insecurity or tough times. Life is simply not that cushy or safe or smooth by nature. It's like part of becoming a strong adult is weathering the times and moments where you feel nearly hopeless. A forging of the mind and soul. These youngsters will be weak and unprepared for the real world in which we live. What does that have to do with this?
And I really hate that too. So it's like, so what are we striving towards? People to feel less hurt, less anxiety, less stress and all that. Isn't that kind of what we want? Because, you know, these people that you're talking about, actually, especially when it comes to education, you're talking about children. Do you want them to be hurting? All this tough love, like this attitude, it's like, we get it. Your dad was like cold to you, okay? Like, go to therapy.
Exactly.
We do want people to be happy. We do want people to feel accepted. We do want people to feel special because they deserve that. Everyone deserves to feel good. That's what we should want out of life. But these people, it's just because they're so pro-capitalist. That's why they're so unhappy too.
That's why it all falls into a social Darwinist type thing, combined with like a hard times create strong men, type of thing. But it's so funny how it's like this garbage ass article. It only takes 2 comments in to get to someone saying China is building a formidable military and implementing man-up programs for their men. Meanwhile, our military is being diluted with woke, soft recruits. China is loving every minute of this. It's like, what? How did you go so easily on this dialogue tree?
And those ones, you have to sign in, like log in, like register with like an email and stuff. You can't just leave a comment and leave. You like have to. It's not like
I forget.
Open. So I always find it so interesting that people take the time to do that and comment and stuff, that they really don't have a lot going on, man.
Well, and if it's I think this is Discus. No, I think it's New York Post. Yeah, I like the ones with Discus because it's like I already have an account. I could just kind of sign in and talk shit to people. But bless you.
Excuse me.
Those 5 sneezes, I can see them on my GarageBand screen.
Put it on the
it's all over my
soundboard.
computer.
Wow, look at this guy. I wonder how truthful this is. I'm a professor and my classes are glutted with kids who have no business in college.
Glutted?
The problem is we transform college from a place for people with specific interests who probably wanted to go into academia themselves and continue as a link in the chain of preserving their own body of knowledge, to college as the gatekeeper institution to employment for everyone. Well, that's a good point. Like, it should be for learning.
I'm on board. Yes.
Consequently, we decided it was cruel and discriminatory to keep anyone out of college because it meant denying them ability to make a decent living. And it's like, that's kind of true. And that goes up with the vocational training and stuff. And it's too bad, unless you're an absolute snob, you won't see a carpenter, plumber, or electrician as less than. These people are yada, 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 yada. How is that inferior to some poor gender and women's studies major who can't find anyone fool enough to hire them? It's like, that's the issue you were alluding to, though. Like, those things are still important, and academia is important, but instead it's all a jobs program. Those things have great value, but not as a ticket to a job. Shrink the colleges, let those academically see, and then you start going to that. But it's because some people don't belong here. It's like, no, the problem is since the problem that you already explained, in that we need college to be able to make it out of the lowest economic rungs in society. Since you need it, there is no one that shouldn't be in college. You shouldn't be looking at anyone and being like, you shouldn't even be here. It's like, unfortunately, everyone should be there. Like, it would be nice in, it's always these right-wingers that are almost there where it's like, yeah, it's because college shouldn't be for a job type of thing. Because in a post-capitalist society, however it's structured, you literally would just be there for the pursuit of knowledge in a specific area and to teach others. But instead, it's just so that you can have somewhat of a chance of getting a leg up and maybe achieving social mobility. Maybe. But...
yeah, and it's all because it's like, you got to get a job, you got to get so much time. It's like, you can't even wait till you're like 25. Like, you can't be 25 years old. Orangutans raise their babies for 10 fucking years. And we raise ours for 18. There's only 8 more years of learning that we need to do over an orangutan? Give me a break. True. Oh, my God. College should be for... everyone should be more educated. Like, yeah, orangutans
Why
spend
isn't
a
it?
long,
Yeah,
long time
there's
raising
there's
their
never an
young.
end. There's never like a goal. Like we should be. I mean, either as a human race, or even if you want to be like nationalist about it or something. Like we want to get better. There's never an end to like the acquisition
Learning?
of knowledge and exactly. Like and passing it down and building upon that. We're never gonna have
And I
it
don't
all.
know
Like
why there has to be such like it's like diametrically opposed. Like if you want to be a plumber, you have to be you just have to go into this pursuit, and you can't learn anything about women's studies. You can't learn anything about like history. You can't learn anything about critical thinking. Like the difference, it's like, well, not everyone needs to go to college and blah, blah, blah. And I would say, yeah, sure, maybe like classes and stuff doesn't appeal to everyone and the way that things are taught, and blah, blah, blah. There could be a lot revamping so people could actually get a good education. But I just don't,
that would be true.
I'm like, everyone should be going out into the world with a bachelor's level of knowledge, because that is completely possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not asking that much from this incredible brain of ours.
Yeah.
Like we have, and the more
And the
people know, the better our
infrastructure that we've
society can
created.
be. And all these like, yeah, and like all these guys who like suck the founding fathers' dick. It's like, you know what they did like all the time? They just like read all the
and
time. These
wrote
guys were
and
so
sat around and
incredibly
talked.
well educated. Yeah, really, really well educated people that were able to come up with these ideas that you jerk off to every night. They didn't come up with those ideas while they're tinkering around on their jobs, doing these like blue collar work or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess at that time that was enslaved people doing the work, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, there were still cobblers, but there
Yeah,
were white
sure.
cobblers,
They've been known to.
but
They've been known to.
but well, and that's the thing. It's like college could be a place where, even outside of vocational training or something like you're saying, hey,
I
everyone
would
should
like some
be
vocational
learning
training
more
instead of just my
stuff
worthless
and just
women's studies degree.
having this knowledge and stuff. It's like, but the problem is, we wouldn't need even that if post college or whatever, or once you have this career or something, if our society was set up so that you had spare time to pursue these interests. It's like now it's
Yeah,
like, well,
right?
I would rather that I knew more about this, or that I knew more mathematics, or, someone, an engineer is like, I wish that they
Wish
knew
I was a
more
little
about
bit taller. Wish I was a
sociology or
baller.
gender studies or something. It's like, that wouldn't even be on the whole college system if you could pursue your fucking interests and learn and stuff like that with all these great tools that we have to do so. If you had fucking time, if you weren't broken down from the
Crushed under the boot.
the labor that you're going to be engaging in until you fucking die. That's like
Pretty much.
Anyway, we should cut it
Yeah,
off.
I mean, it's.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's nice to do it in schools and stuff because people don't always know what they're gonna be interested in. I
Oh,
know
yeah,
some people
yeah.
like they go to college and it's like, whoa, like anthropology,
Suddenly-
is often one that
suddenly
people
they're
are like,
calling.
whoa, that's really. Yeah, and it's really different too. I never thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to do it when people are young because it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
To learn. I mean, your brain is like the way it's forming and everything. Like you're just in this zone of learning. I mean, that's what you're.
Plus, you're not
really
yet a
doing.
cog in the
We're
machine.
learning about our world and stuff. Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, that's definitely what keeps people dumb.
Well,
is our jobs.
well, we'll end this.
That's why I'm so fucking
with
stupid.
finally finding a good deranged comment in this section. For every small battle you think sanity wins, the racist, America-hating left win far more. That doesn't mean we stop fighting, but let's
Thank
be
you.
honest, the racist, degenerate left still controls schools from K to
Racist.
12 and colleges and universities. The left still controls the media. The left still controls Hollywood. The left still controls our Fortune 500 companies.
Ooh.
And
Oh
the
boy,
left-
the left,
and the
huh?
left controls our federal government. The GOP is now the POR, Party of Rhinos. It's like,
Yeah,
dude,
man.
your mind
wish
is
the
a
left controlled the
scary
government.
place. What a nightmarish world you live in, man.
Is it in all caps?
No.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just like, but
Yeah.
Not only is it so untrue, God, I wish the
And I
left
feel like
controlled all
he's-
those things, but the left
think he's
controls
saying-
Fortune 500 companies.
The left controls Hollywood. I think he's saying something else.
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's like, why do you think leftists
Racist
and
left.
Jews were all, rounded up?
Racist leftist, huh?
Oh, that's...
Oh, because we talk about race,
Yep,
you mean?
exactly.
Yeah. I guess I forgot
Why
about
would you
that,
be so
yeah.
fixated on race if you weren't a racist?
You what?
Oh. Yeah, and it's because, and we know you're a racist because you said...
I love Karl Marx.
So, okay. It's
Nice.
getting really long, is all I'm saying. So,
All right.
and we have so much
Not what
more
she
we can
said.
talk about in future episodes. So,
Bye.
anyway,
Shout out to R.M. Brown, our Lord
shout
and
out
Savior.
to our commenter, Ron King,
King.
Raun.
Or whatever.
So, and to all the people that liked my most liked tweet ever that happened today. So shout out to trans
read all of them
inclusive
off? Yeah.
radical misogynist Andrew Tate himself for giving me the opportunity to pop off for one day.
Yeah. Silver
I think we're at
lining.
about 8,000 likes now. So,
Nice.
but anyway, shout out R.M. Brown, shout out Zach and Emily
Kelsey, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
and Kelsey. And we have such a low viewership. We can pretty much just name everyone off right now.
Yeah,
thanks-
and they're all people
thanks
we know.
Rob and Lexi and whatever.
Benita,
Oh, and
yeah.
and actually, what's funny, at the very beginning of the episode, mentioned that I work with the Chamber of Commerce, and the main gal there, I forget her actual position, but she does everything. She's the best. She said that she listened to our podcast as soon as she had heard what the name of it was. She was like, "You're really easy to find." I was like, "That's good. It comes right up if you type
Yeah.
Inane Blather." So and
who
and
else would
she had
use that?
listened to some of the podcasts before I saw her the other day. I was like, "Ooh, look at you."
Yeah.
Good.
Hi.
You know?
Yeah.
So shout out to Wendy. So okay, I love you. I'll talk to you
Love you too.
immediately after we stop recording.
I hit. Yes.
Okay, bye.